Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It is 5:06 on this Wednesday morning in your nation's capital. It's O'Connor and Company, the best way to start your day. Get up on the right side of the bed and get informed on your way to whatever you're doing with this beautiful spring day. Well, beautiful, I mean wet and rainy, and, well, it's just not cold. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, we're going to check in with our pal Spencer Brown, Young America's Foundation, formerly senior columnist at Town Hall. He's been up overnight covering the president's Mideast trip, and we'll get his analysis. Then at 6:05, John Condit, former sportscaster for ABC Dayton, Ohio. He's been making the case for Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, and it looks like he finally got his wish, as that lifetime ban has been lifted because, well, Pete Rose is no longer alive.
That's right.
It's kind of sad, actually, but cool at the same time. We'll talk about it. 6:35, Cal Thomas will join us. 7:05, J. Christian Adams on a case he's looking at in Pennsylvania having to do with some major election interference and chicanery. And then at 8:35, our pal, Molly Hemingway. That's a loaded morning. It's Larry O'Connor. And, well, speaking of loaded, here's Julie Gunlock.
Oh, gosh. Well, good morning.
Alexandria wine mom, Julie Gunlock.
Please. I'm not Nicole Wallace. Give me a break.
You are. You're the conservative version of Nicole Wallace is what you are.
You're awful.
She is. She is toasted.
You're salty this morning.
Every show, I watch this woman, and she just looks like she's, already dipped into the Chardonnay before they go on the air.
Why
this
are
stuff
you
happens
comparing me
in
to
television.
her? Why are you comparing me to her?
Aren't you neighbors?
I have no idea where she lives.
I've been watching a lot of cable news lately. Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot later in the program about Jake Tapper's book tour and how...
Oh, I can't take it.
He acts like there's no such thing as the internet, that nobody has any clips of how he behaved, how he's shut down any critic of the president based on his mental or cognitive lack of ability.
Just a stutter.
Yeah, he's just got a lifelong stutter. How dare you, people? Mm-hmm. And now he's getting rich off a book.
Yeah.
Talking about, it appears as though Joe Biden wasn't all there, and the White House lied.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into all of that. We are, because I've got much to say about it. And by the way, if you want to read a book about Joe Biden's decline in the 2024 presidential election, buy my book.
Yes.
Don't buy his book.
Yes.
Don't make Jake Tapper rich. Buy my book. It's called Shameless Liars. It's all about the lies of the 24 election, including the cover-up of his mental decline. But we'll get to that. But I'm watching cable news yesterday, and I started to notice something. And, Julie, you tell me, walk me off the ledge here, because you know me. I try not to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's easy these days because the conspiracies are usually true. Have you noticed something about a couple of the candidates for the 2028 election? On the Democrat side. And actually there's this guy's not a candidate, but he's a rising political star. Let's start with him, David Hogg. So that you got David Hogg, Pete Buttigieg, and Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut. What do all three of them have in common?
A lack of testosterone.
Okay. That's I will give you that.
And that is why this leads to the other thing they have in common.
That may be the connection as to the third thing, because all three of them are attempting to grow beards. Although I think David Hogg has now given up and he has shaved his beard as the DNC is trying to oust him from his position. But for a while there, he was trying to grow a beard. But everyone knows Pete Buttigieg is running for president, and it seems pretty clear that Chris Murphy is now running for president. Right. Chris Murphy left his wife of many years, mother of his children. He's now shacking up with a former reporter. I think she's a TV producer now, but she's everyone says she's advising him on his media profile and media appearances. That's why he's been out front. It's like, who cares what Chris Murphy has to
cussing.
say? But now Chris,
and cussing. We've got more
he's
cussing.
Throwing around
hey, you want to be
foul
cool?
language and
You want to be cool? Say the F word a couple times. Yeah, got it.
And in the last 2 months, he has now grown a beard.
Right.
Pete Buttigieg has grown a beard.
Yeah.
And the two of them are going all over the country doing media appearances, going after Trump, and they've got this little fledgling little beard. And it's got to be this. It's this. Political consultants are absolutely the worst, and they always change a candidate, change a human being for who they are. And I guarantee you, they've gotten in their ear and they say, you got to connect with the dudes. You got to connect with Democrats are losing male voters.
This is Naomi Wolf telling Gore, wear earth tones, okay?
This
is the same.
Be the alpha male.
Yeah, be the alpha male.
Yes.
This, and also, the reason David Hogg shaved his beard, because he just got fired. See, he needed to look like an older adult, someone in charge, someone in command, right? So he grew the beard, made him look a little older. David now needs to revert back to the, I'm a 14-year-old, don't be mean to a kid. So he shaves the beard, right? Says that then he'll have more opportunities he's going to go return to sort of the, I'm a tragic student from Parkland standing on his student friends' dead bodies to get more money. So he's going to go back to like the student activist thing. So he shaves the beard. These two dudes, Pete Buttigieg and Chris Murphy, they are sort of responding to what people like us have been saying, and I'm sure some of their consultants are saying, which is you have to appeal, or in our case, the Democrats just don't appeal to voters. So they're growing these beards. It's the Tim Walz sort of thing. We're going to, Kamala's running, so we need to get this beer guzzling, pickup driving, hunting, baseball cap wearing guy, this dude, he can relate to dudes, right? So I think this is their attempt to relate to dudes. Of course, they haven't changed what they say, and they think men are stupid. They think men will respond just to this kind of stylized man who's saying horrible things. So that's my theory.
They're cosplaying. They're cosplaying as tough guys.
Yep.
It can't be an accident. It can't. It's way too deliberate and way too obvious, and they still don't get it. The whole point of why he's like, why did Trump do so well with the mail vote? Because he didn't fake it. He was authentic.
Exactly.
We don't understand why Trump is doing well with these voters because he's such a jerk. Yeah, but he's a real jerk. At least he's not pretending to be anything that he's not. Yeah, and he is what he is. These guys, it's all pretense with these guys.
It is completely. It's all made up. It's cosplay, like you said.
So we have had presidents with beards, but well, here's the other problem. If they do become the nominee for the Democrats in 2028, who's their most likely opponent? JD Vance.
Beard.
JD Vance has a beard.
And JD Vance has that kind of beard that like comes out every day around 3 p.m. Like he shaves in the morning and it's there at 3 p.m. Like
this is what Meredith accuses me of.
Well, you're like this.
You see this? Yes. See what I'm sporting here? I shaved at noon yesterday.
Yeah.
And look at this.
And my husband is the same.
I've already got more going on than Chris Murphy.
Yeah, my husband is the same. If he doesn't shave twice, like he'll shave in the morning, and then if we go out at night, he has to shave again. I often tell him, like, I like it. It's sexy. Like, keep it on. You know, you don't need to shave it. I know. Calm down.
Don't shave.
My kids are asleep, so I could say this gross. They'd be like, gross. But yeah, JD Vance, beard, but also looks very good, clean shaven.
Well, but he didn't, and here's the other thing. He didn't have a beard before when he was just, a author and, and the beard, he grew it in the beard before he ran for office in Ohio, and it makes a huge difference on him because you look at him before the beard.
He has
that cherubic face.
Oh my gosh. He has the cutest little boy face. So in some ways, it totally, he does. So the beard toughens him up, but it does nothing for these guys. So that's what's going on
here. They know they're running against JD Vance. They know they have to appeal to male voters, and so some consultant put a bug in their ear. The question is Kamala Harris going to grow a beard, or is that what?
I think she is one. Frankly,
is that what Doug really does?
She is a beard.
He's the beard.
She is a beard, yes.
It's 5:50.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Well, we saw that our friend Spencer Brown of Young America's Foundation and a senior columnist over at Town Hall was doing the overnight shift at Fox News commenting on the president's trip to the Middle East. So we figured, well, why should we be the only ones to have the fun at 5:15 in the morning? Get Spencer's butt on the air. And so here he is. Spencer, good morning, my friend. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. I do not know how you guys do this every morning.
Neither do we.
Gotta be honest.
We don't know.
Well, listen, you've been watching this all night long and commenting for Fox News viewers all night. First of all, the pageantry over there in Saudi Arabia. I mean, but Buckingham Palace is going to have to step up their game because the House of Saud is bringing it for President Trump.
Well, I mean, they had horses yesterday, but I think my favorite part of all of this is the blending of the pageantry of Middle Eastern countries like this, as well as the pageantry of Trump rallies, because yesterday we had not only Lee Greenwood, but also YMCA closing things out at the end of his speech. And I think that's just a nice sort of, I don't even know how to describe that. It's just a nice sort of blending of cultures. You know, the left always talks about multiculturalism, but completely fails at it. That was, without even trying, the most multicultural thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, something tells me that the religious police there, the famous religious police in Saudi Arabia, is not used to dancing around to the village people. I think they do have some civic codes against that sort of thing.
Well, Trump brings freedom everywhere he goes. So if it means importing
go.
the village people to the Middle East, I'm all for it.
Well, speaking of bringing freedom, I swear, I think there were more American flags flying over there than here in the United States. It was so patriotic to see. Even the Arabian Nights, they were carrying American, the Arabian horses, the riders of the Arabian horses, which were beautiful, by the way, were carrying American flags. What is that about? That's amazing.
Well, it's just nice to see that the Democrats, have kind of abdicated love of America to all these other countries. I think there were more American flags. Even I remember watching right after Air Force One touched down yesterday in the overnight hours, watching the scene unfold while they were waiting for Trump to get off the plane. And at first I was like, wait, did they land on an American base? And then realized, no, it was not actually one of our bases. But it goes to show, I mean, look, it was sort of a rhetorical thing, but under Trump, the world respects America and the world loves to celebrate America because when we're doing well, that means a lot of, obviously, our allies are doing well. And this stability that Trump is looking to bring to the Middle East is so needed. And they got a taste of it during his first term with the Abraham Accords and normalizing and recognizing Israel there by those Arab states. And they want more of that.
Hey, listen, Spencer, if that's where this is headed, I'm all for it because I think that there is a lot of appetite in the Middle East to normalize relations with Israel. Had Trump continued his 4-year term right after his first term, instead of having to take 4 years off in the wilderness, I think we would have seen a lot more of the Abraham Accords. My concern is, does he have a realistic view of Qatar? Because he seems to be changing his tone on them, trying to make peace with Iran. Some of these countries you can't make peace with because they can't be trusted, and they literally think we're the great Satan.
Right. No, that's exactly right. And so I think a healthy dose of skepticism is definitely the name of the game, not just with Qatar, but also with, Syria and their interim leader that they have there. Trump today saying again that he wants to make a deal with Iran. I mean, these are all good things. But I think what's different about the way Trump is approaching the Middle East, it was different the first term, but this even seems different from his first 4 years, is he's really making this kind of play to the people of these countries who, many of them have suffered under dictators and horrible leaders who obviously reject basic human rights and religious liberty and things like that. And he's basically putting it all out there saying, countries like Syria, for example, who we've now repealing all of our sanctions on, is, this is the interim leader there is a former member, or as far as we know, former member of Al-Qaeda, which obviously, is not somebody you would expect to see the American president doing a photo op with and discussing, how we're going to work together. But what Syria is so critical for is they have a huge opportunity there for their people, but for the United States, having our influence there instead of Turkey's influence or Russia's influence as it's been in the past, or Iran's influence, is so critical that Trump is saying to the people, like, look, if you are looking to be full participants in, the Gulf states, if you're looking to have freedom and opportunity and economic choice and things like that, work with the United States because we're going to help you achieve those things. But also Trump in his speech today that he gave to the Gulf States Council was talking about our military and how recruitment is up, and kind of in this tongue-in-cheek way reminding these states that we are still the United States. We still have the greatest military. He's not afraid to use it like Biden was. And if you kind of try to play us, things are going to come back around and you're going to feel the pain for that. And I think Trump. So basically,
I'm here now. We're going to give you a chance, but the second you get out of line, our military is right here. All right, well, we'll see about that. Well, one last question. You saw that mobile McDonald's that the Saudi.
Oh, yes. That was the other part of the
Royal
multiculturalism.
family. Is that going to be part of Scott Walker's rider now when he goes to a college campus that you're going to have to arrange for him, Spencer?
I think it's more likely to be a Shake Shack mobile truck. That's more his speed, I believe. Yeah.
And some of that Milwaukee beer on tap right on there. He's
Miller time, all the
Midwestern.
time.
Spencer Brown, go to sleep, for God's sake. You get the day
Oh,
off
no,
now
we got a
after
full-
doing the all-nighter?
Oh, no, we got a full day ahead, and then moderating a panel tonight for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and might even be back on Fox tonight.
Better you than me.
Yeah.
Spencer Brown, Young America's Foundation, and Town Hall. Thanks, Spencer. Drive carefully.
Thanks, guys.
It's 5:23.
Do you guys remember the case of that Wisconsin judge that helped a violent illegal alien evade ICE agents? She let him escape out a back door. Well, she's been indicted. We'll give you the latest. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL-FM Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:37 this Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. At 6:05, John Condit's going to join us. He's a sportscaster from the Dayton, Ohio area, a big-time Cincinnati Reds fanatic. He actually, I think, was the last person to interview Pete Rose, and the lifetime ban has now been lifted on Charlie Hustle. Looks like he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. 6:35, Cal Thomas will be here. 7:05, J. Christian Adams with an amazing story on voter fraud and election shenanigans in Pennsylvania that Christian Adams is hunting down. Then at 8:35, Molly Hemingway will be our guest. She has plenty to say about Jake Tapper's reinvention of history. We're going to try to keep the bleep button handy during that, because it's hard to talk about Jake Tapper and not violate FCC rules.
The bleep
Or
button
all
is
of
for
them.
me, not Molly.
Yeah. Oh, not Molly. No. It's just hard not to throw the BS word around.
I know.
Whenever
I
you
know.
see how Jake and the media are rewriting history with regard to their shock to learn that maybe Joe Biden wasn't completely mentally fit. Which, by the way, the best part of this, the White House lied. Joe Biden on The View just the other day said that he's still fit. He can be president right now.
And Anna Navarro then went on CNN and was criticizing people for questioning it. I mean, these people are certifiable. I mean, you still got these. It's like the Japanese soldier that was found on the island 550 years after the end. They are never going to reverse course. They have dug in. He was fine. He could have saved us from Donald Trump.
He still is fine. Just ask him now. They're still having him on shows to comment on things.
That's right.
While they're saying he wasn't mentally capable. So why are you interviewing him now? Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, we'll get to all of that later in the program. Clearly, that's all we want to talk about. So we're going to force ourselves onto the rest of the news cycle. And that includes the arrest of that Wisconsin judge, Hannah Dugan. The indictment of Judge Hannah Dugan. She was arrested in her courtroom, or right outside her courtroom, after she deliberately shielded, protected, and gave aid and comfort and refuge to an illegal alien criminal that was in her courtroom on domestic battery charges. She found out that ICE agents were right there, and then she let him out the back door.
She spirited him out a back door. The victims of this illegal immigrant's violence were in her courtroom. Yeah. And she managed to spirit this guy out of her courtroom so that he could avoid ICE agents. Despicable.
Now, this happened April 25th. We covered it quite a bit here on this program. And you'll remember that the critics of President Trump, who call him a radical racist fascist with gulags and secret stormtroopers out there wearing ICE badges who are just going after, Maryland men, and in this case, I guess, a Wisconsin man. They said that it was all outrageous, it was political, it was theater. Well, I'd like to hear what they have to say now, as a federal grand jury has come down with charges officially now against this judge. This after, by the way, getting statements from the illegal immigrant criminal's attorney. He gave his eyewitness account of what happened. And by the way, the attorney is no longer on the case. He's dropped his client, as well as this judge's court clerk. She gave a statement, saying what happened. And it's like, I understand a U.S. attorney can get an indictment against a ham sandwich, that old trope. And sadly, it is true. They wield a hell of a lot of power. But in this case, this federal grand jury brought these charges and brought this indictment based on the sworn testimony of the people who were in the courtroom at that moment, people who you would think would be inclined to sort of, be on the judge's side, including the attorney representing the defendant.
It had to have been such shock in that courtroom at what they were witnessing. It does tell you, it really is interesting because you're right, Larry. You would think her clerk, other people, the lawyer for the criminal, illegal alien, you would think that, maybe they would hem and haw. No, they came forward, and it's because it had to be so shocking what this judge did. This judge, though, is an activist judge who has probably pulled this stuff before. And I think this time, probably the clerk and the other people in the courtroom said, okay, I don't want to be a part of this.
This criminal illegal immigrant, by the way, who was aided and abetted by this judge, it appears, now that she's been
female
indicted,
judge.
Yeah, has a long record of criminal charges, including strangulation and suffocation, battery, and domestic abuse. This, according to the Department of Homeland Security. I mean, if you're going to arrest and deport anyone in this country illegally, this guy should be on the list.
I bet Judge Hannah Dugan had one of those pink hats in 2016. Pink cat hats in 2016. And, I bet she claims to be some big feminist and stands up for women. Yes. And then releases this guy who had a history of beating and strangling women. Nice lady.
Not just released, protected him
and
kept him from. And she's supposed to be a judge, by the way, and an officer of the court. The Democrats at the time, they were screaming, and you saw people in the media, the headlines in the media, Trump arrests judge. Trump, without any of the context, without any of the details, and they made it look like he had arrested a judge who had ruled against him or something.
I know. Yeah.
And it absolutely outrageous behavior. And now all they're reduced to is, well, when a president and a Justice Department is going around arresting and indicting judges, this is a dark day in America. It's like, well, not if the judge broke the law. In fact, if a judge breaks the law and they're arrested and indicted for that, that's actually a great day in America because it sends a signal to everyone that no one is above the law and politics does not override law and order. That's wonderful message to send to the citizens.
That's right. But again, TDS is a powerful drug, and anything that Trump does is wrong. An enemy of my enemy is my friend. So if there is a judge that's corrupt and doing illegal things, but it's against Trump, then she's good. So that's how that whole thing plays out.
It's 5:43.
Mark Levin, weekdays 6 till 9 on 105.9 WMAL, making sense of the news.
Well, right as the show was closing yesterday, this show right here, O'Connor and Company, the only show that you need to worry about, the morning show of record in the United States of America. As we were closing out the show, we got the inflation numbers in yesterday, and the Trump economy is beating expectations on Wall Street. They were expecting about a 3% inflation number year over year. It ended up being 2.3%, which, by the way, is down from the month prior. And this is important because this encompasses the entire month of April when President Trump announced the tariff deal, the tariffs on foreign countries. That was announced April 2nd. So the entire month of purchasing falls under what these inflation numbers would have reflected. And it actually went down month to month. And it was down on the year-to-year number. It was the lowest since 2021, which it appears as though we finally broken this inflationary cycle that we were in under Joe Biden.
Americans need this. This is apparently the largest decline in 5 years. So that is great news. And of course, you won't hear it anywhere else. So So I'm glad we're reporting it.
They did. I mean, they had some glancing mentions of it today. I mean, it's, but yes, and certainly no celebration. In fact, some of the headlines were ridiculous yesterday, where NBC News is like, the inflation number may be down, but the American consumer is still feeling it at the grocery store. It's like all of these reports that they never did under Biden when inflation was hitting 8% and 9%. Inflation is literally down, lowest in 5 years, and saying, oh, but the American people are suffering at the grocery store.
Yeah, and focusing on tariffs. Oh, well, tariffs aren't helping the Americans. Yeah. And also, I guess I saw this yesterday. Heather put it in our show prep too. But J.P. Morgan announced that they're ditching this prediction that the United States will head into a recession in 2025. Yeah. And the outrage towards J.P. Morgan yesterday. I mean, how could you not celebrate that? You have to realize that Democrats in this country are literally rooting against the United States.
Yes.
I mean, anything to hurt Trump. Again.
Good news for Trump. Good news for the economy. Good news for America. Good news for the American people. That's all bad for Democrats. Yep. And the media is playing along. Here was the National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, one of the small handful of people who carried over from the first Trump administration to the second Trump administration. That tells you that Trump's got a pretty high opinion of him. He's the he's the director of the National Economic Council. He was on CNN talking about this number. Here's cut 2, please.
Well, when I look at the real hard data, Jake, then one of the things I'm seeing is the core GDP was about 3%. The jobs numbers are very positive. There's lots of wage growth. Capital spending was up 20% in the first quarter, which means that there's a lot of onshoring going on. And I think, in addition, we've got something like $5 trillion in hard commitments and a whole bunch more. We got $600 billion more from the Saudis today to create jobs in America, to build businesses in America. And the momentum is super positive. And so the sentiment data is going to catch up with the real data. The real data are strong. And imagine that inflation was down, way down in the CPI report today. And it was a month, April, where we had about $20 billion in tariffs. And the story that everybody's been saying is, those tariffs are going to cause prices to go way up. They're going to harm consumers. But clearly we got the revenue. That's good for Treasury rates, and it didn't cause inflation.
That's right. And by the way, you mentioned at the very beginning, you heard him mention that we have wage growth, which is shocking in only 3 months of a presidency. Yes. Wage growth under Donald Trump in the first term jumped to like 7.5%, 8%, I think, after being moribund for 8 years under Obama, where we barely had like maybe 1.5% or 2% growth in wages, if that.
Moribund.
Not only is inflation, the rate of inflation decreasing here in a huge way for the first time in 5 years, as you mentioned, but we now have wage growth again. Your purchasing power is getting better. That's a great combination for a good economy.
Just really quickly, I was watching that clip. I know the folks listening. It's on X. And Tapper, the man, he was interviewing, Kevin Hassett was interviewing with Jake Tapper there. Tapper looked, let me just say it, suicidal. He just looked so depressed as this very good news is being delivered to him. It's great news for the American consumer. So Tapper's, of course, depressed.
It's 5:53. Real fast, since we're beaten on CNN, here's how Wolf Blitzer announced the news at the moment that it happened. Cut 3, because in real time,
inflation is slowing, I should say, to its lowest rate in more than 4 years. That, according to April's Consumer Price Index report. It's an unexpected and very welcome development that's defying economists' expectations amid President Trump's ongoing trade war. Let's go live right now to CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich, who's watching all of this in New York.
You can hear how sad he is, and here's the problem. Wolf's not smart enough in real time to spin this, so he's just got to read what the teleprompter says. It took a couple hours for them to figure out exactly how to try to make it bad news, but they can't. It's actually good news for now. Let's see, but it's certainly, as you just heard, unexpected and very welcome. 5:53.